Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the second video. This is a follow-up to the session we had on November 4th on Git workflows, version control, what all of that stuff is. So at the end of the last video, we ran into some issues trying to synchronize our remote GitHub repository with our local one um, because of some authentication issues. So this is a follow-up video to just go over the flow again and foundational በደንብ ለመመስረት for um, the assignment that we'll have on Git. So yeah, I'll go a little bit over what went wrong in that other video, and we can go through the workflow here. So this is Git education. This is the GitHub project or repository that we created. So we have the code here. We only created an empty repository with an empty readme Git education የሚለው with an initial commit. That's our central, right? And we had cloned the repo locally in our last project, and made a bunch of changes, created a branch, um, added some files, some notes, committed those, and we're attempting to push to here. So anyway, these are different. There's code. Issues are another thing that we'll talk about within Agile. It's a way of tracking different tasks and bug fixes, whatever you need to do, whatever you need to change in the code. Track የምናደርግበት system. There's different issue tracking systems out there, but GitHub has one built in as well. There's a bunch of stuff here. There's already a pull request. ባለፈው የተበላሸውን ነገር ቼክ ለማድረግ ስሞክር በዛው I raised a pull request. So this is what a pull request looks like. We'll go over this again when we go through the workflow. But essentially, these were the commits that we added from last video. If you see, we added git ignore and notes files. We added some notes in this file. In our git ignore file, if you recall, git track and data ጋቸው የምንፈልጋቸውን unnecessary ፋይሎች reference የምናደርግበት ቦታ ነው. So we have the intermediary kind of like editor የሚፈጥራቸው ፋይሎች listed here. We created an empty file. That's only one of the commits. But there are other commits here that we can see. There's an add agile notes commit. This was the one we committed specifically in the agile notes branch. Agile is very good ብለን የጻፍንበት. Yeah, so there's 3 commits in total in the PR. Locally 3 commits ነበር ያደረግነው. And then this PR, Al-Sharabi wants to merge 3 commits into main branch from agile notes into the main branch in the central repo here. ከagile notes branch pull request raise አደረኩ ማለት ነው. So there's 4 files changed. These are all the files. So this is an open pull request right now. Yeah, so review ማድረግ ይቻላል ይሄን pull request, right? So I can comment on the pull request saying, okay, you did these, but these things are wrong, or can you change these? Can you fix these? Whatever. Comment ብቻ ማድረግ እችላለሁ. Or in general, just say something. You could also raise a PR to be like, okay, this is what I have so far. This is what I've been working on, to just get some kind of feedback on how you're approaching a problem. So because again, Git is one of the main points of Git is being able to collaborate on something, right? And part of collaboration is being able to review and give feedback to others' work. So there's a comment option, there's an approve, there's request changes. You can request particular changes. You can do that through comments too, but I guess there's a separate thing for that. Approve ካረግን approve የተደረገ PR merge መደረግ ይችላል. Then all your changes become part of the main central repository. Yeah, so this is, it's open. The PR is currently open. I can go back to the PR and see. So you can have multiple PRs open at the same time from multiple different people. You can create a new pull request, but I don't have any changes outside of these. So yeah, so this is what happens. So I'll put up a lot of material up with the assignment on how to, install Git installation guides for, whatever your operating system is and how to configure that. And then there's also how to create an account on GitHub and how to kind of connect that with your local and everything. So I'll post this up as well. So what went wrong last time, if you can recall in the video, some authentication issue and na personal token amጪ ምናምን የሚል ነገር. So I went and looked into that, and GitHub, between the last time I accessed GitHub, it's been a while, because in a company I work at, GitHub is, I guess, more public. You can have private repos, but if you work in a company and you want to keep your code private, proprietary information, like not open source, the opposite of open source essentially. So I don't really use my GitHub account, but so since the last time I used it, they have updated their security protocol. So they require now a username and a password. Instead of a password, you need to have a special authentication token. And there's a guide here that I also post about how to create that personal token. Very detailed, very straightforward and easy to follow. And I have, where's my code? My code. I'm not supposed to show you my code, actually. That's very unsafe, but I have it there. I'll change it, delete it, and change it right after. But essentially, I followed the guide and created a token, and I have to copy it and then save it somewhere or cache it locally. There's various safe schemes, secure schemes of being able to save your token that it also shows you in the guide. But yeah, and this is what I would use instead of a password, and that's why that was not working. So now we can go through the entire flow without any issues. So I started a new directory here, so we can just go from scratch and start from cloning and go through a typical workflow for how to contribute and collaborate using Git. So yeah, I'll go back to the main page, go here and get the URL for the repo, right? And then I use, let me just make that slightly bigger. Git clone, remember that command, and then paste the URL for the repo. So if I list my directory now, I have the repo there, right? So we talked about the difference between cloning and initializing a new repository, git init ተጠቅመን. So now this is already a repository. So I can just look, say git status, if you remember that, shows you what you've changed, what the status of the thing is. So my branch is up to date, nothing to commit, my working tree clean. I've done nothing yet. There's only one branch. I can check how many branches I have by doing git branch. There's only one, and I'm on that branch, the main branch. ls, there's only a readme, because if you see, all these changes that we saw in the pull request are still on request status. merge አልተደረጉም ገና to the central repo. So none of these files exist, right? And I've kept it that way so we can attempt to experience merge conflict. You'll see what I mean in a second. So yeah. So clone አደረኩት አይደለ? And now I want to make some changes. When I want to make some changes, I create a branch that is specific to the sort of change I want to make. So the way to create branches, we went over last time as well. You do git checkout. Git checkout command you use it in a multiple different ways. You can use it to restore your changes back to the last commit. Git checkout መጠቀሙ. In this case, we're using it to create a new branch. So look through the documentation to find specific usages. But yeah, so I'm going to create a new branch. The name of the branch will be Git workflow session. So that's because that's what we're doing right now. Usually it would be something descriptive, like whatever feature you're working on. It could be like login form, or it could be like what is it, like a database plugin, whatever it is, that particular scoped thing that you're working on would be a descriptive name for the branch. So I create this. So now if I do git branch again, I'll see the little star next to the new branch I created. So now I'm in this new branch, and then I can create a file. And just to be so that we can experience a merge conflict, I'll create the same file as exists in the pull requests. Like if we see in this pull request, last time we no file element we had 2 files that had stuff in them. You can see. So I can pick one of these, Agile Notes or Note for Thoughts. So I'll just do Note for Thoughts. I'll create a file called Note for Thoughts. I'm sure it's spelled directly the same. And then I'll add my first line, something different. Maybe like clone repo, right? And then save that. Okay, WQ save, right? So now I have a Note for Thoughts. I do git status. Again, we went through this in the last video. Untracked files. This is git ignore again. If I had the git ignore from the pull request, it wouldn't have shown me or tracked this file. But anyway, I have Note for Thoughts now. I want to start tracking Note for Thoughts, so I will use git add and do that. So if I do git status again, I'll see changes to be committed. So this has already been staged. We talked about the difference between tracking, staging, committing last time. So pay attention to that again. So I made changes. Now I can commit because I've staged. Just to make show you the difference between something staged and just modified, I can reopen that file and then add a line, clone a repo, delete the repo. Why not? And then I can do git status again. And now it's now tracked, so it doesn't show under untracked, but it says changes not staged for commits. So this file appears both here and here. Ziga what it is saying, the contents of this one here, stage የተደረገው, is the last time git add ያልኩትን, right? So the new line I just added about delete the repo, የለበትም. Okay? And this down here has all the changes. Every last thing I did, changes not staged for commit. So if I commit at this point, the only thing that will appear in the commit history, commit imiarago, is only the first line. And we can go ahead and see that. That's the point of having a difference between a staged change and a change that's just been tracked. It's modified, but it hasn't been staged because I only commit things that are staged, right? So when something is done and like ready to be like package ለመደረግ የተዘጋጀ something እና like ገና still working on it something ለመለያየት ነው if you're working on the same file. So I stage something I know like I'm ready to commit it. But if I'm still working on something and I'm not sure if it's final enough to commit yet, then I don't stage it. And I can commit only the staged version. But now I'll just do git add again. Git add. So that all of my changes in this file will be staged, right? So if I do git status now, it only appears once up here to be committed. Excuse me. Get out of my face. Okay. Sorry, that was my dog. So we have, so it's staged to be committed. I can do git commit and then add a nice commit message, be like, added notes for node 4, right? Always keep your commit messages brief but descriptive and specific to the change you just made. And that's really important because it's also like a detailed account of what's been going on so far. Somebody should be able to say what change it is from your commits. And now ለራሳችሁን ቢጠቅመው ለዛ ነው because በፊትም አውርተናል, like being able to track history, the importance is something bad happens, something breaks, and you want to go back to a working version. And you should be able to tell from your commit messages what stage, what status we're in for that file, right? So I know at this point is the point in which I added notes. እንደውም more descriptive ለማድረግ what kind of notes? I could keep on adding notes. የትኛው notes እንደሆነ ለማወቅም ምንድን ነው ያደረኩት አሁን? added notes for, let's say, insert mode for clone delete in no4. Now it's even more descriptive. So now I have more of an accurate idea what I did, right? So I saved that. So I just committed git log. We looked at git log earlier and git log p. So I have added notes for clone delete. No, right? Now we just committed our change and we're ready to submit our changes to the central repo here to say, okay, I'm done with my thing and I want it to be part of the main repo. So it's good practice to make sure that your local is up to date before you push any changes, right? Because in between the time that you've last cloned and you've just committed and you're done and ready to submit, something could have changed in the central repo because other people are also working on it. And to simulate that, at this point, before Ziga Sanarag, I'm going to merge this pull request. So this will be like, oh, somebody just changed something and added, the same file that you did. So let's see where we can merge. Okay, merge pull request. It says this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. So it checks for you. Conflict kalla malat, there are two things, or like they go directly against each other malat no. And like somebody has to resolve that conflict. Like at the same spot in a file in A kaskaba and another person B kaskaba, or at the same spot in the file the central repo has A and I am trying to replace it with B or something, or like two changes are directly contradicting each other, that's a conflict. And we have to be able to say, oh, this one is the right one, or the other one is the right one, or both are right, and they should be arranged in this way. But there are no conflicts here, so I merged this pull request. Confirm merge. Pull request successfully merged and closed. So now if I'm looking at pull requests, there aren't any open pull requests, but there's one closed pull request, the one I just merged. Yeah. So open ማለት ገና merge ያልተደረገ still in review አለ ማለት ነው. So now if I look at the code, there are now all these new files in my code instead of just the readme. I have no forethoughts, which has all the notes here and everything. So now at this point, I can say git pull. Pull ማለት ክሎን ካረኩበት ከሪሞት ሪፖዚቶሪ changes አምጡ ማለት ነው, right? Bring the changes in. So I do git pull. Let's see, there's no tracking information for the current branch. Oh, okay, so I'm in a different branch. I will do git pull, let's say, I can, yeah, there's different ways of referring, there's different ways of referring to different branches. You could say origin, you could, set upstream የምትሏ command አለች እዚህ ጋር, which you use to kind of specify, oh, I'm talking about this repo. For ease, now we can just actually take the URL, kate no pull የምናደርገው የሚለውን, or let's try origin first. Git pull origin main. ከmain origin pull አድርግ. Okay, great. So origin ማለት ይሄ ክሎን ያደረኩበት ማለት ነው. And common branch, I merged it. If you paid attention, the pull request from Agile Notes branch with a main branch no merge የተደረገው. Main branch contains all of this, and there's no other branches in the central repo. This is my, oh, actually there is, because the branch I pushed to. Anyway, ከዚህ ከአጃይል ኖትስ ወደ ሜን ነው pull requestን የፈጠርነው. So you can create pull requests from different repos to another repo. Like pull requests exist between branches, and as long as all the repos that those branches belong to are part of the same, have the same history, like the same repo mono, you can create pull requests. So in this case, the pull request was from locally ላይ agile notes የሚባል branch ፈጠርኩ. I put some changes in those branches and committed some changes to the Agile Notes branch. I pushed my Agile Notes branch to Ziga remote lallo, wazilallo to the Agile Notes branch here. And then I created a pull request from this branch to main. So that's the same thing we'll do now. But now I pulled changes ka origin main. And what does it say here? Conflict. Merge conflict in no forethoughts, right? Because I made some changes in no forethoughts. And since I last pulled, I didn't add to the changes that exist on the central. In between the time that I created and added stuff to the file, the remote repo has also changed to create that same file and added context. So now, we're stepping on each other's toes. So automatic merge failed, fix conflicts, and then commit the result. So if I look at my git status now, it shows, oh, changes to be committed. So gana commit alaragum the pullen. So nazi remote ላይ እነዚህ exist የሚያደርጉት ፋይሎች pull ተደርገው they're ready to be committed. There's no issues with them. And merge pass both add ያደረግነው no forethoughts አለ. So this needs to be fixed. I fix it, I stage it, and then I can continue the commit, right? So let me open up and see what's going on in that file. እቺ ኖቴሽን እኔ እስካቃት ድረስ በጣም ትሪፕ አፕ የምታደርገኝ ነበረች። እነዚህ ቀስቶቹ ምናምንና like this code head ሚለው equal ሚለው. Basically it's a textual way of kind of denoting ኮንፍሊክቶቹ የት ነው ያደረገው ከተለያየ ፓርቲ የገባው ቼንጅ ምንድን ነው የሚለው. So እዚህ ጋር head ሚለው እኛ ያደረግነው change. You see? Clone repo ያልነው delete repo ያልነው. So እቺ ብሎክ የኛን change ታሳየናለች. ከዚህ ብሎክ ያለው ደግሞ ከዛ የሚመጣውን change ያሳየናል. ከፑል ሪኩዌስቱ merge ሲደረግ ኮንቴንቱ የነበረው ማለት ነው እነዚህ. So it's up to you to be like, oh, actually ይሄ ብቻ ነው. This makes sense. This part I'm going to discard. Or to say, actually my stuff should be gone. I should discard. Or you could say both are important. I'm going to keep both. And if you're using proper integrated development environment like IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code or like whatever, there's usually like a user interface on top of Git that will help you do this. And there's buttons that say accept both changes, accept my changes, accept remote changes, or some form like that. So you could just click a button and not have to deal with like actually like backspace deleting stuff. But we're in a very basic Vim text editor, so I'll just manually remove this and say, okay, I'll keep everything. Let me say, and have that. What do I want it to look like? I want it to look like this. Alright? So this is me resolving the conflict. I kept both changes. I saved that. So now if I say git status, it's still once I've changed now አሁን ባለበት status ላይ stage አደርገዋለሁ. And when I git status now, all the changes are ready to be committed, right? And now if I say just git commit, already commit message ጽፎልኛል because ኮሚቴ ነው abort የተደረገው because of a conflict, right? So I already have merge branch main whatever into git workflow session የሚል message adding, and then I will just keep that message. And if I say git log, I will see a merge commit, right? In addition to, okay. And this is the merge commit from the pull request, from the remote. And usually it's easier to tell. Actually, you can tell slightly easily. Local elshadai ብሩ ይላል, remote ያለው elshadai b ይላል, which is the username for my GitHub profile. But yeah, so let's see. So I made a change locally. I committed that change. I updated my local in and fixed merge conflicts. ይሄንን ስቴፕ ሳላረግ ቀጥታ ከሎካሌ ወደዚህ ፑሽ ማድረግ በሞክር ኖሮ ቅድም ያየነው ትዝ ይላችኋል ከፑል ሪኩዌስቱ this request has no conflicts and is ready to be merged የሚለው that would not have existed. It would not have allowed me to merge. It would have said there's a conflict, you need to fix them. But I just bypassed that step by just taking care of it locally. All right, and then now I updated local. Let's git push. ዝም ብዬ ጌት ፑሽ ብሎ አሁንም again like it's gonna say የቅድሙ ስለምን branch ነው የምታወሪው ምናምን and we're on a separate branch, we're not on main, so I'm gonna say git push and then I'll set upstream. Set upstream የምትለዋ it's just to make it easier so in the future you don't have to worry about, I think git push in ብቻውን ስትሉት it'll know where to push it to instead of like upstream specifically into my site. We don't really need to do it right now. I could just say git push origin and I want to push it to a particular branch. Sumu branch ምንድነው? I'm going to keep it the same as the branch I have locally here. So I'm going to say in my origin, which is this, create a branch called git workflow. Git workflow libello, just so we know. I don't know if it'll let me if it's different from the local branch, but we'll see. So we can see the difference. But I'm saying create this branch there and push the commits that I have locally to this branch in the origin workflow. Yeah, git for doesn't match any. Yeah, I have to keep it the same. Yeah, so it pushed this branch, git workflow session እዚህ ጋር የሰራሁትን to the origin, and now like እዚህ ጋር ያለውን ይለኛል it gives me a nice link that will allow me to create a pull request. እቺን link copy አድርጌ pull request easily create ማድረግ እችላለሁ. But before I do that, let's just like refresh this and confirm that now there's a new has recent pushes less than minimum. Oh, there's a typo here. Oh, has recent pushes. Yeah. Anyway, see now there's this new branch that exists with a different version of no forethoughts that has this, right? So I can just I can go back from this and create a pull request kazi, compare and pull request መፍጠር እችላለሁ, or I could just use the link that the command output gave me as well. ቀጥታ ነው. So if I did ይሄንን ባደርግ it's the same stuff. Open a pull request, right? አንደኛውን መዝጋት ይቻላል. So it says here, open a pull request. It's able to merge. Why? Because we fixed merge conflict. If we hadn't done that, it wouldn't have been able to merge conflict. Usually when there's a conflict, someone's like, oh, fix the conflict. Or like, that's an automatic denial of the PR. And let's see, yeah. So the changes here, there's 2 commits. Our merge commit here, and then the notes that we added. And the difference is we added these 3 lines: clone a repo, delete the repo, and the empty line at the top of what already exists in no forethoughts. So that's the difference. It says 1 file changed, only 1 contributor, tells you the detail. I create the pull request. Alright, this branch has no conflict with the merge branch, so this is it now. So if I go into pull requests, then I now have a new pull request. Git workflow session ከሎካሊ create ያደረኩት ማለት ነው. And you can see the details ምን እንደሆኑ. You can leave a review, you can close it without merging, whatever, but essentially you review this and merge just like the previous one. So now, if I look like ለምሳሌ in the code, in the main branch, no forethoughts in bio, የቅድሙ change የለም. That change only exists in git workflow session. Clone a repo, delete the repo. Differenceaቸው ይሄ ነው. Is there a way to do a diff actually? Maybe there's a way somewhere. But essentially the diff would do exactly what the pull request is doing. So pull request የፈጠርኩት from the git workflow session branch to the main branch so that the main branch can reflect the new changes. That's what the pull request is. So now I can like open this up and like leave a review. Great work. And then comment. I did a great work comment. And then where's the way I can review changes? Okay. There's different types of merge. This is a bit advanced. We don't have to look into that. Where was the place that I could review changes? I could say approve. Oh, pull request authors can't approve their own pull request. You see that? Obviously, because what's the point of reviewing it as a truth and kala truth? But usually when we work in a team, like Lemsali, at my work, I have to get 2 approvals before I can merge a pull request. So I have to like actually get members of my team to check. But anyway, now I can merge it at Rasi because this is a project that I created, right? So I own this. And usually like you wouldn't be able to merge unless you have approvals already. And that's some settings you can add to your repo, etc. So I'm gonna say merge pull request, confirm merge. And now once I merge, if I go back to the code and check in the main branch no forethought, it will have the new changes. Clone a repo, delete the repo, why not? So that's what that is. So now we've been through the proper workflow for Git. And what the assignment is going to be essentially is for you to create GitHub account, configure Git, install Git on your computer, and be able to go through a similar workflow in which you fork this repo to your own account, clone it to your local, make some changes, commit, and raise a pull request for me to review, and that pull request will be what you deliver. And maybe I'll approve some pull requests early so you can have a merge conflict and you fix that merge conflict, etc. So yeah, think about that. Anyway, thank you. We'll talk another time.